Yeah, thank you very much, Subis, for your introduction. And thank you everyone for joining the seminar. It's a great opportunity. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. My name is Nick Chen, and I'm assistant professor at the Department of Civil Environmental Construction Engineering. Today, I'm going to present my work related to the environmental economic assessment of the solid hazardous waste management. First, just a little bit background about myself. I'm graduated in 2015 from University of Wisconsin. My major is geotechnical engineering, and also I study environmental engineering. So I define myself geo-environmental engineer, especially my work is related to the solid waste management. After that, I got multiple jobs, and also most importantly, I got my position at UCF as assistant professor in 2020. So this is my third year as an assistant professor. So my research interest majorly including the solid waste management for the waste, including the municipal solid waste, low-level radioactive waste, and the mining waste. And also I'm a geotechnical engineer, a geoenvironmental engineer, also study the contaminant transport and the flow behaviors through the saturated and unsaturated soils. And at UCF, I collaborate with many colleagues and also especially developed several other expertise, including remote sensing, artificial intelligence in solid waste management, and also the life cycle assessment of solid waste management systems. And my teaching is majorly related to the environmental engineering, teaching environmental engineering, and also geotechnical engineering. I taught geotechnical engineering 1 and also smart cities. And in the future, I'm going to develop courses related to the geoenvironmental engineering that is especially based on my research. So here's some research overview of my current projects. So that, as I mentioned, I have the expertise in the waste management. So my major work is related to the waste disposal and also collection programs. One part is for the waste disposal, which is the management of the landfill. In this part, I got several funded projects from the CRESP, which is associated with the Department of Energy, that is studying the contaminant transport from the landfill to the subsurface, that is in the vapor zone, understanding the vapor zone hydrology and contaminant transport. And also some of the contents related to the whether this landfill will affect the behavior of the vapor zone because of the overburden stress existing there. So that also caused some change in the transport of the contaminants. Another project related to the landfill management is about landfill liners, which is evaluating the landfill liners because liner is specially designed to separate the waste and also the groundwater. So liner is supposed to be work to cut off this contaminant transport. So my study is to evaluate different types of liner design, how this design going to equivalent to the EPA requirement, and how this liner's design going to be functional as a cutoff structure for the contaminants. And a new thing for me is to study the remote sensing of landfill for landfill management, especially related to the landfill cover integrity, which is to cut off the infiltration and get less emission. And also one of the part is to detect the emission from landfill cover, which is a very important issue nationwide because landfill is the third largest emission body in the US, especially emission means the methane emission. So that's a big hot topic right now. Another part for me is for the waste collection programs. This study is to study how can we optimize the collection programs and to minimize the contamination of the recyclables to help more diverge of the waste from landfill to composting to recyclables. So I'm going to talk about more details in the next few slides. So here's just some of my sponsors. So here's my lab. I spent the first 2 years construct my lab and get some outcomes right now. So my lab is majorly focused on three things. One is a physical experiment, numerical simulation, and the field works. So physical experiments majorly focus on the evaluating the soil behavior, natural soil behavior, modified clay behaviors. Those are surrounded by this research topics, including the landfill liners and also modified landfill liners, to see how this liner is going to behave, going to have a better performance when they have in the landfill. So my testing majorly including the soil strength test, soil permeability, and the soil hydration behaviors, soil absorption, and also water retention behaviors in the unsaturated soil. And I use this physical experiment results to conduct my numerical simulation. So here's my workstation and some programs I'm using. I'm using numerical simulation, for example, ModFlow, ComSol, GeoSlope. These are widely used programs to understanding how the contaminant is transported from the disposal facility to the environment. How can we control them in a better way? Which material we can use to cut off this contaminant transport? And also, I'm also doing field investigation, especially I purchased the GPR, which is to use to detect the sinkholes near the landfill, because it is a potential the natural hazardous, and also use remote sensing to capture the landfill, to managing the landfill integrity as well as the emission. So I'm also especially collaborate with colleagues at UCF, for example, water chemistry analysis. Dr. Durancio helped me work on some of the testing, and also image analysis with the nanoscience team, and also work with some university outside UCF, work on the computer tomography to understand the porous media of the soil. So that's some of my lab work. And here I want to especially show two of my funded projects. One is by the Florida, the Hinckley Center, which is the topic is evaluation the equivalency of Florida's double liner to EPA liner. So in this study, we especially talk about the landfill liners. In Florida, we don't have much clay. We have sand. So sand is more permeable than clay. And so that's why we have a double liner, which we have two layers of geomembranes in there that is to prevent the leakage from the landfill. So this design is need to be proved to equivalent to EPA liners. So there's some debate on whether our design is equivalent to EPA designs. So that's why this project is generated. So in this study, we conducted the laboratory testing. We evaluated the permeability of the different layers, for example, sand, and also used some of the alternative materials, such as the geosynthetic, which is a synthetic material. This is called geosynthetic liners. They come from the natural clay or can come from the modified clay with polymers, and many different types. And my evaluation to study how this different materials going to work under the chemical stress a coupled condition in the landfill. And by obtaining these parameters, I'm also running numerical simulation to calculate what is the leakage. If we have a leakage in the geomembrane, what is the leakage rate to the environment over time. So here are just some of the example. I'm showing some of the material that show excellent results. For example, if you have GCLs, geosynthetic liner with polymer, show very low permeability, and you can also have some of the show the polymer actually is clogging those porous media and generated low permeability. And the last one is showing leakage rate, which is the consistency with analytical solutions that is generated by the Giroux method in 1996. And we are also optimizing this method for a better calculation of leakage rate. Another one, I'm going to go very short on this one, is talk about life cycle assessment of residential curbside collection programs for recycling quality improvement. The objective for this research is for the county, we observed that the contamination of the recyclables. That means you have the contamination either from the dirty glass can or metal cans, or people threw in something that is not supposed to be recycled. Some of the reason is like people is not aware of what it should go to the collection container, and sometimes it's due to the incorrect, inappropriate collection frequency, because people maybe the haulers didn't collect the thing on time. People have overfilled garbage can, threw things into the collection containers. So we are studying we are especially for this project to optimize the collection program, see what is the better collection frequency, what is a better container, and what is the better design of recycling systems. Also associated with the collection wear cost, because the fuel is also driving, is a big driver for the cost. So here we put all these factors into consideration, conduct a life cycle assessment to study different, for example, different collection programs, different collection frequency, different containers, what are the costs and the final emissions, and what's the best solution for the county to achieve a better, a higher recycling efficiency and a low contamination in the recyclables. And here is some of the data we're showing that definitely we show if we have a good collection frequency, that will reduce the contamination. And also we develop a field inspection method using the multispectrum camera to detect the contamination in the recyclables. This is under evaluation, so we are still expecting more results. So for future plans, I'm especially just have a few future plans, near term, long term. So for the near term, I want to especially chasing some the fundings opportunities, including the remote sensing related to the waste containment system management, and also fit transport of emerging contaminants, for example, PFAS, nano plastic through the landfill to the environment. And also, I'm especially right now more closely with the CRESP, understanding the engineering barrier integration with the system performance. And the long term, next 5 to 10 years, I'm especially want to use my expertise to develop some research and related to the solid waste infrastructure and recycling improvements to municipal recycling programs, and also studying low and high level red waste disposal and containment. Last but not least, to extend industry collaborations, I'm currently serving as the faculty advisor of the GI UCF student chapter. We have multiple industry donations and also have these speakers to come to UCF and give a talks. So maintain a good relationship will be important. So this is my last slide. I just want to show this slide to acknowledge my collaborators and students. So thank you very much again for your listening.